Hi, it's Stuart from Bletchley, Porsche 911 Targa. I'll go through a few bits and pieces. So the engine case has all been cleaned up and it's ready for the shells to be put in, the bottom bearings and stuff. In the meantime, I've had the crank shafts all been cleaned up. It's come in as perfect. It's pretty much to what factory settings were, so it's well within its tolerances. I've also had the push rods, all new bearings installed at the machinist. These have all been cleaned up. I've got the new bolts and the new bearings, the new bolts and the new nuts, so we've got a set of those all to go in. Also, we've got new cogs, the new bottom end shells, new intermediate bearings and stuff, chains. The pump's been apart. I've checked the pump out. Everything looks good inside the pump, so that seems to, be running smooth. I've also sort of plugged these up and turned it by hand, and it actually sucks up even when you're turning it by hand. So that should be pretty good. I've got a list here of all my torque settings all ready to go. These ones here I pulled out the Haynes manual, but I'll also be cross-referencing with Wayne Dempsey and a few of the Porsche forums that are out and about as well, just to check, double check and treble check basically everything as you go ahead. So anyway, so we've got some parts here. We've got new torque wrenches, because obviously if I'm using old ones they might not be calibrated, so I need new ones. I've got another one of those coming in another day or two, so I'll be able to get started then. Over on this bench here, I've got some of the old cogs. This one here, I don't know if you can see it, it's got a tooth missing. I don't exactly know what happened there because I brought the engine all in bits anyway along with the car. So, but we've got new ones of those going in anyway, so basically once it's together the whole thing's going to be like a new. I'm not going to put the old chains back in either, so we've gone for brand new chains and that as well. So it's all new chains. So it should be quite a good engine once it's all been put back together again, so it only needs refitting. They haven't had no upgrades done to them, but basically the valves have been regrounded, the valve guides have been changed, the valve seals have been changed. It's all to the right spec, so it's at the right height, so it's been ground down by the machinist, whatever it is that they do with them. So yeah, these just want a final clean up and go back, and then ready to go back in. All the pistons I've lightly pre-cleaned and they're all ready to go back in, which they look pretty clean anyway. So new rings for those, original wrist pins because there was nothing wrong with those, but the clips, I'll be changing the clips because there was some signs of some very light rust on those. So I didn't want to risk those going up and down in the barrel, one of them pinging off and scoring as it was going up and down. So I've replacing those. The wrist pins themselves, when they've gone off, I sent these off with all the connecting rods. So he's took the dimensions off of those. Each one of them's got its own like R3, so that would go with R3, and so of course as you can see there, that's not easy to put in there, so that's a nice tight fit, no movement. not going to force it in because it really wants some grease on it or some running in lube. All the crankshaft, everything on that looks dull at the moment. That's because it's got a special oil on it, so when it comes back from the machinist, rather if it sits around for even a night, after they polish these you can get dampness and they can start rusting up, so it's got this coating of oil on. So when I'm ready to put that in, I'll be cleaning all of that up. I will put all the bottom end bearings in, and only then when that's cleaned up I'll be putting that into the engine case. Likewise with everything else has been cleaned up, bagged. It'll all get another clean before it goes in. So this is all nice and clean, it's all been checked out, it's all been took apart. No teeth missing, no wear, all good, ready to go. So one more final clean before it goes in the engine. It'll then be thoroughly greased up. And of course when you're greasing stuff up, it's important to watch that you don't start transferring all the grease to all the edges that you're going to be sealing. So anything that you're putting seal on and that, try and keep it all grease free, because then all the seals, you know, all your Loctite seals will take better if you haven't got puddles of grease all over everywhere. So these bits will be greased up. I'll be changing my gloves, washing my hands, whatever it takes, fit that part, cleaning up again, move on to the next bit. So all the time you're keeping everything in your engine casing as clean as you possibly can. So this will be lightly cleaned again. I'll be using some, what have we got here? This is brake and clutch cleaner. Normally I buy it by the gallon, but I just got a handy spray can because I'd actually run out just the other day. So it'll be that kind of stuff. I've got some spray in this can as well, which is, it's a degreaser, which is, once again I only got a small amount because I just run out, which is this one here, just to clean up some parts. I've been out and got piles of new cloths. I don't want cloths or paper rag or anything like that that leaves little deposits and bits and pieces, so I've gone out and brought a set of cloths to do initial wipe, and then a final wipe down, and then a blow with air just to make sure everything's blown out and clean. So anyway, what I'll do is, if I can, is I'll try and catalogue and show every single little bit as I start putting this together. I know some of the other videos out there which are quite good, they can jump around a little bit and you sometimes miss out on little bits and pieces, and you think to yourself, well, I wonder what happened there and how did he do that. So what I'm going to try and do is I'm going to try and show all of those little bits and pieces, and then afterwards I look forward to fitting the engine in the car and going for its first start. And then what I'll probably do right at the end of it, maybe a year on from when the engine's been rebuilt, is do a final up-to-date one which will show the car, fingers crossed, still running a year later with no problems and good oil pressure. Okay, I think that is about it. Yep, got all my settings all written down there, so I'm good to go. Thanks for watching. Stuart from Bletchley.